What is up, comic book fans? It is another edition of Poll This for the week of September 19th, 2018. I'm your host, Connor Christensen, back at it again, this time with about 80% less rants than last week. Now, if you watched last week's episode, all 18 minutes of it, thank you very much. I apologize for being so wordy, but I had fun. Hopefully I had a little bit of fun watching it. I just had a lot to say. You know, I took a week off. I had more shit to say. So this week we're going to try to keep it a little bit more succinct, a little bit, probably not. This first choice I got a lot to say, but the rest of them I'm gonna try to keep it quick, keep it light, keep it moving. So without further ado, let's dive into the 5 books this week. Alrighty, coming in at number 5 this week, we've got Return of the Wolverine, number 1, written by Charles Soule and drawn by Steve McNiven. Okay, look, we're just gonna get this book out of the way. Alright, and stop me if you heard this one before. Wolverine is back. And there was much rejoicing. I get it. This is a huge deal for the Marvel Universe, and we have to talk about it. If this has been a series that's been built up for the past, 6 months, and Wolverine is finally, hopefully, going to be back in the Marvel Universe, so we have to talk about this book. But I'm sorry. All of my excitement for the Return of the Wolverine has died with the long, overdrawn out Hunt for Wolverine nightmare. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many times where we teased that Wolverine was going to be back, only had to wait till another issue, and then 4 miniseries, and then another issue, and now this issue. I mean, come on. Don't get me wrong, I love Charles Soule. I mean, he writes most of my favorite series at Marvel, but this whole Wolverine thing was ridiculous. I mean, how am I supposed to say excited for the return of a character when it's drawn out over 2 one-shots, 5 miniseries, and 6 teaser pages across 6 different stories? Did Marvel not learn from the success of Phoenix Resurrection? You tell the story amongst 5 beautifully crafted, wonderfully written 5. Damn it! I was on a roll. I lost my point because I'm so upset. I don't even remember where I lost it. We'll go back to the Marvel Phoenix thing. I mean, did Marvel not learn their lesson from Phoenix Resurrection? The best way to bring a character back is with one succinct, well done, well written, well crafted, well executed miniseries that quickly and swiftly and concisely brings a character back from the dead. You don't draw it out over 9 months or however long it's been. God, I feel like it's been forever. Maybe it was just June. I don't know, but all my excitement for the Return of Wolverine is gone because there's just too much and too many different times where I thought he was going to be back, only to see him in one panel on the final page of the book. Now, that's not to say that the Hunt for Wolverine stuff has been bad. For the most part, it was good, with the exception of Claws of a Killer. Let's be honest, that was... yikes, that was a rough one. But, I mean, the rest of it was good. It wasn't a matter of it not being enjoyable. It was totally enjoyable. It's just, what did any of it have to do with Wolverine? Like, almost not much, like just a little bit. I mean, each had a little shred of Wolverine mythos in it, but really had nothing to do with Wolverine. So it's kind of hard to retain this excitement moving forward when we've been, teased for so long. All that being said, if there's 2 people I trust to really hit a home run with, a full count, down by 1 in the bottom of the 9th, they need a run to score. I'm going to stop this baseball metaphor. Why did I go for the baseball metaphor? We'll go ahead and cut that out, I don't know why I did that. I'm just hoping this issue finally brings back Wolverine. I mean, and it will, right? Maybe, possibly, it should. Hopefully, I mean, just for the love of God, just bring him back already, Marvel. Just stop teasing us, just bring him back. If there's anyone I trust to give us a killer, kick-ass Return of Wolverine, it is definitely Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. They're the guys who did such a wonderful job killing him in the first place. Charles Soule, like I said, is writing so many great titles at Daredevil, not Daredevil, god damn it. If there's any creative team I trust to bring back Wolverine in fantastic fashion, it's definitely Charles Soule and Steve McNiven. I mean, they're the ones who did such an amazing job killing him off in the first place in 2014's Death of Wolverine. Plus, Steve McNiven has written pretty good amount of Marvel greats. I mean, there's the aforementioned Death of Wolverine, he illustrated Civil War, and he did Old Man Logan. Then you got Charles Soule, who did Death of Wolverine, like I said, and is writing the fantastic Daredevil series right now, amongst a bunch of other great series. So I have total faith in this creative team to pull off a killer issue, and I really hope it's good. I'm just saying, stop with the teasing, bring us Wolverine, please. That ends this week's rant. Stay tuned for more. Alright, and coming in at number 4 this week, we've got Crude number 6, written by Steve Orlando and drawn by Gary Brown. Crude has been a sneaky good miniseries from Image Comics, and it comes to a climactic close this week with issue number 6. I really can't recommend this series enough, and honestly, I didn't even realize it was a miniseries until number 5, and now I'm kind of sad that it's ending. It's been fantastic. It's done a great job of building a world, of populating that world with wonderful characters and different agencies and all these separate moving parts, and it's a very human story, yet it's driven by revenge and action and hatred, but also love and hope. It's got this beautiful dichotomy of these different forces of both nature and human emotion that clash together constantly, and I really enjoy this series, and I'm sad it's ending, but I can tell you I've already read this issue, and it is a fantastic ending to the series. I mean, seriously, this ending is awesome. It is brutal, it's fast-paced, it's violent, yet it's hopeful, and it's heartfelt, and it's very, very raw and emotional and human. I mean, it is the story of Peter Petrovich's tale of revenge coming to a close as he literally confronts the face of bigotry and hatred and intolerance, simultaneously while he comes to terms with who his son was and accepts it and learns he still loves his son despite how uncomfortable he may be with his life. It's a truly revelatory issue that is just wonderful and heartwarming, and it shows the power of acceptance and of love, and shows not to piss off Russian fathers, because Peter Petrovich beats the shit out of this guy. Pretty brutal. It's cool, but it's like, wow, metal. Like I said, this entire series has been outstanding, and number 6 is no exception. Gary Brown and Steve Orlando crafted an amazing world populated with wonderfully rich, deep human characters that is also viscerally violent and emotional and raw. It is a hidden gem of 2018. Don't miss this. Pick up number 6, and if you haven't already read 1 through 5, definitely pick up 1 through 5 as well. It's a tremendous series. I'm sad to see it go, but man, was it one hell of a ride. Coming to number 3 this week, we've got Skyward number 6, written by Joe Henderson and drawn by Lee Garbett and Antonio Fabela. Skyward wrapped up its first arc with issue number 5 last week, making number 6 a perfect jumping on point for anyone who has missed this fantastic Image series. It is awesome. I really love it. It's a great premise centered around a world that no longer has gravity, and how people are living in this post-apocalyptic world that is like somewhat beautiful because there's all this freedom to move around, but it's also terrifying because the weather's different, and you have to constantly have a way to bring yourself back to Earth, or you will literally float in the atmosphere and die. So it's this totally free yet claustrophobic feeling of a world that is just so alive and rich with characters and human emotion and action. It's fantastic. The first 5 issues explore protagonist Willa's adventures across a low-gravity Chicago, and this new arc, kicking off in issue number 6, opens up the world to her. Quite literally. For the first time, she leaves Chicago and she discovers what the world is like outside of the city, and as you could guess, it's not very good. There's giant insects, terrifying animals, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some horrible people she encounters as well. It's not going to be great. If this issue is anything like the first 5 issues, it's going to be a terrific read. Seriously, Henderson, Garbett, and Fabela have created a wonderfully rich world filled with truly human and deeply emotional characters. There are some truly raw moments here that deal with the fallout of the end of the world and the family matters they have to go through, and the lack of family and the loss of family. It's truly incredible, and it has some really gut-wrenching raw moments that you can't miss. I love this series. It took a little bit while for it to really latch on to me, but after this last issue, I realized, like, God damn, Skyward's been really good for months. So if you haven't read this series, definitely jump in with issue number 6. And same thing with Crude. If you haven't read the first 5 issues of the series, pick up the first 5 issues. They're fantastic. You're gonna love them, I promise, I swear. Don't let this series float away. Which I'm now realizing that joke will only make sense if you've... Coming in at number 2 this week, we've got Captain America Annual number 1, written by Tini Howard and drawn by Chris Sprouse and Ron Lim. I'm usually not the type of guy who gets really excited for annuals, but once I read the synopsis for this annual right here, I got really excited, and I've been anxiously awaiting it for months. I won't put it lightly. This issue sounds fucking heavy and a very daring issue for the time we're at in the comic book industry, and I cannot wait for it. Tini Howard steps in as guest writer for this annual issue to tell a story from Cap's past, one where him and Bucky stumble upon a barn house full of concentration camp escapees and must defend these victims until Allied forces arrive in the morning. It's heavy shit. It's heavy. It's real heavy. It reminds me of that episode of Band of Brothers, kind of, sort of. You know, the one where I think it's Buck, right? Buck, the burly one, who's also in Walking Dead, when he gets left in the town, Carentan, I believe, when he gets left in the town overnight, and then he has to go into the barn, and he finds the 2 people are hiding from the Nazis too. It kind of reminds me of that, but like with Captain America, and a lot sadder because it's concentration camp victims, and this story isn't real. But it's, you know, it's basically the same thing. This sounds like an incredibly powerful issue, and I am very, very intrigued to see how Captain America handles it, and I really can't think of somebody better than Tini Howard to tackle such a heavy subject. She's already doing such a tremendous job tackling the heaviest subject of all, death, in her series Euthanauts, so I think she's going to do a fantastic job tackling a very, very tough subject in this annual issue. This issue is shaping up to be a deeply human, powerful issue that explores how one of the most iconic comic book characters in American history tackles the literal personification of hate and bigotry, something we all need right now. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Alright, and our number 1 choice this week is The Wildstorm number 17. Just kidding, I decided to give you guys a break from The Wildstorm this week, but I had to mention it somehow because I love that series and I love talking about it, but we're not going to do that this week. Truly coming in at number 1 this week is Batman the Damned number 1, written by Brian Azzarello and drawn by Lee Bermejo. You know, something that a lot of people who don't read comics don't understand is that keeping track of comic book continuity is, well, it's a fucking nightmare. So that's why when DC announced their Black Label series, I was pretty excited. We're going to get some stories that exist outside of the continuity, so you don't have to worry about where this fits in the greater scheme or how it affects other characters. It just can stand on its own and be its own thing and mess with things however it wants, so I'm super excited for that. The first of these stories hit shelves this week with Batman the Damned number 1, and it's written and drawn by the awesomely dark and brutal creative team who brought us the Joker graphic novel back in 2008, so I can't think of a better creative team to kick off this new super dark, grittier DC label that can just really, like I said, toy around with the Batman mythos. I'm super excited to not have to worry about the ramifications of what it does to continuity. Imagine if they did that with Doomsday Clock. The Damned is a fresh take on Batman. I know people say that all the time, but it really is, because this story opens with the Joker being found dead, and nobody knows who killed him, not even the Dark Knight. In fact, Batman's not even entirely sure he's not the one who killed him. So for all we know, Batman finally snapped. And by snapped, I mean, like, snapped the Joker's neck and murdered the fuck out of him. Throughout his investigation, Batman uncovers things that are dark and mysterious and downright magical, so he enlists the help of one man, John Constantine, which is awesome. Except for the fact that Constantine is just as interested in solving the case as he is with messing with Batman's head. So expect like a buddy cop comedy that isn't so much funny, but more cruel and unusual, where one of the cops likes to poke and prod the other one to see if he'll finally snap and kill somebody. DC promises that this story will be the one that puts the black in the Black Label, meaning it's going to be a very dark, unsettling, just gritty story, and I can't think of a better creative team to tackle it. I've said that twice in this same little tidbit about Batman the Damned, but that's because Azzarello and Bermejo are just perfect to take this on. The Joker was dark and unsettling and brutal, and I think the Damned is going after that same vibe, so I'm super excited. I think it's a great start to the Black Label, and I can't wait to read it. It's our Connor's Guaranteed Stamp of the Week stamp thing. Do we still do that? Alrighty, and that wraps things up for the week of September 19th, 2018. Make sure to head to your local comic book shop, pick up these books, or head to Amazon using the links below and order them. As always, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know if you want me to do more rants, less rants, if you like last week's episode more because I talked forever, or if you like this episode more because, I reeled it back a wee bit. Anyway, till next week, I'll catch you guys at aaptcomics.com.